Hello, everyone. Welcome to Sentinel. I was supposed to do this segment yesterday, but Pete Hegseth's announcement about the Afghanistan withdrawal changed plans, obviously. And I appreciate everybody's comments and feedback for that segment. But I want to make one thing very clear. This investigation should not target individuals. It should not be a kangaroo court. And we're not out there seeking revenge. We want the truth. And we want the truth for the Gold Star families. And they're the ones that have been suffering for the last 4 years. So it's important that we follow procedures. And if officers are found to be negligent, they should be held accountable. It's really as simple as that. And the Secretary of Defense has many avenues open to him to hold them accountable. It could be under the UCMJ, or also could be administrative sort of proceedings that many of these general officers have used against others. Because in an administrative process, you really don't have any right to an appeal, and you don't have a right to review the evidence. That's what they use all the time to relieve somebody for loss of trust and confidence. There is no right of appeal for that. And so the Secretary of Defense certainly has that available to him. We'll see how this investigation goes, and I hope the Gold Star families get some closure. That's the motivation, behind this. It's certainly not revenge of any particular officer. The whole purpose of this is to improve the accountability for our senior officers and their decision making, because as I discussed yesterday, we can go all the way back to Vietnam, and nobody has been held accountable, and they just keep getting away with it. And at the end, they get a $200,000 a year pension, in addition to their disability, and that's for life. So these guys are pretty well off. Then on top of that, they get a consulting gig with the military-industrial complex. So that it's a pretty lucrative retirement that they get. Without any accountability, and that's not right. And so that's what we want to do. We want to improve our military. We want to improve the caliber of general officers that we have in the military and the leadership. That's what we're looking towards. Okay, so now what I want to talk about today is this guy by the name of Burke. I don't want to use his rank, Admiral, okay? I just have a hard time calling him Admiral Burke because he's not an admiral. He's a convicted felon. So Burke I've been tracking for the last 10 months. When I first did the initial podcast 10 months ago. And then I did another one about 4 months ago when there was an update to it. So 10 months ago, he was arrested by the FBI for alleged bribery of a company that he gave a contract to for about $350,000. And subsequently, once he retired, now keep in mind, he was the second most senior person in the Navy, 4-star admiral. So he retires and goes and works for this company and starts getting about $500,000 a year in salary, in addition to the $200,000 a year that he's getting on his retirement, and we don't know what he's getting for his disability. So this guy is doing pretty damn good. He's making probably $700,000-800,000 a year upon retiring from the Navy. Not a bad deal, nonetheless. So he evidently had a mistress on the side, and things turned sideways between him and her, and she's the one that went to the FBI. And then his attorneys targeted the mistress and her integrity, but nonetheless. So this case goes to court last week, and within 3 days, the jury comes back and finds him guilty of bribery. And this schmo is looking at 20 years in prison, and he's the senior-most officer ever convicted while on active duty for a bribe. And I think that's good. I think it's been a good week for the military, for this clown getting convicted. And then these other generals that are pending an investigation. And we need that sort of accountability. In my view, the senior you are, you have to stay above reproach. And you can't act like a dirtbag, making side deals with all these contractors, hoping to get a good retirement gig. This whole thing goes back to a person's honor. As senior officers, you must have unimpeachable honor and integrity and duty. It sets the right tone for our military. That being a 4-star admiral, you're not going to be above the law, and nor should you be above the law. Because if you were a junior trooper or junior officer, he'd be sitting in the brig right now. I can guarantee you that. We still haven't gotten closure because I'm pretty sure when sentencing happens, I believe it's supposed to happen this August. And we'll continue to monitor this whole situation, see where this Burke character ends up at. I hope he gets the max sentence of 20 years. That's what he deserves. The sad part is he's not the only one. There's others out there. I've been talking about this stuff for the past 30 years, ever since I started digging into the conduct of senior military officers This nonsense has been going on for decades, and we've allowed it to go on for decades, and because it really undermines our military, and most importantly, it undermines the trust that our junior troops have in their officer leadership. It's essentially blind trust. Because they trust us to make sure that we don't waste their lives. They trust us to make sure they get the best equipment. They trust us to make sure there's no graft involved in the procurement of the equipment. And the officers who are charged to maintain the integrity of the system are not the ones that violate the system. And that's what this Burke guy did. Although, I'm glad that he got held accountable, but it's also a sad day for the military, right? Because it's a dark mark on the military's reputation and character. And we just need to do better in making sure that we're promoting the right type of officers to senior leadership positions. Many of the officers that we've promoted have been staff officers, that are fantastic staff officers, but they don't have the hardcore troop leading skills that are required to be an effective leader that has to, every day you lead by example. There is no requirement to be a good leader or lead by example as a staff officer, because you really don't have troop formation that you have to stand in front of, and you've got hundreds of eyes or thousands of eyes looking at you every day, and you got to make sure that your shit's squeaky clean. We want our senior leadership to have in-depth troop experience, not the opposite. And I understand that we need good staff officers. I get all that. But I think it's important that we get officers with solid troop leading experience, at starting from platoon, company, battalion, regiment, brigade, division, corps level, leadership experience. These guys are solid leaders because they've stood in front of these formations and been scrutinized by the troops, rather than sit behind a desk and squirm around the Pentagon. Right? We need honorable people that are devoted to their leadership responsibilities. That's the type of officers we're looking for. So I'd love to hear your comments about this Burke character, and comments about what type of officer do you expect to serve with in the military, and your experiences of having served with officers. I think that's a very important and healthy discussion we need to have. And don't forget to hit a like, share, and subscribe at the end. The channel is doing great. I really appreciate everybody's support. But please make sure that you're spreading the word. We got to get your ex, your mother-in-law, and your relatives. If you got cousins, please reach out to them. Send them the link so they can join Sentinel. And that's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Khan out from New Zealand.